Hello, everybody, and welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. My name is Julie Godot with your weather forecast for your Monday. So, happy start to your new week here as we talk about the weather we're going to be expecting across America. But we got some big news to start off with because we have another significant hurricane to talk about this week. We have Hurricane Milton that's currently in the southern Gulf of Mexico, currently over the Bay of Campeche, near down across southern Mexico, and it has eyes on Florida. Now, at this time, this hurricane just barely took shape as a hurricane. Yesterday, it was a tropical storm. Today it's a hurricane, but guess what kind of hurricane? It is currently a Category 5 hurricane. So yes, we have a Category 5 hurricane taking aim at South Florida right now. So very significant things going on out there across the southern Gulf of Mexico. And Tampa, St. Petersburg is currently in the center of the cone of uncertainty, so that's going to be making its way towards central Florida as we head through the middle part of the week. So it's expected to make landfall about 8 p.m. on Wednesday at a Category 5 hurricane at this time. Now, I'm anticipating some weakening, so it may drop down to a Category 4. Could possibly be maybe a Category 3, a high Category 3, low Category 4 when it makes landfall. So, because of maybe the water temperatures are a little bit cooler, but we have water temperatures fairly common to be in the mid 80s, so 85, 86 degrees over the Gulf of Mexico right now. So it's possible that the hurricane will weaken slightly as it makes landfall, and we can see it making landfall still as a major hurricane, Category 3, possibly Category 4, but right now it is a Category 5. So let's take a look at our maps. Let's take a look where the hurricane is currently positioned right now. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. So another week in store for you guys. So let's get going with that weather forecast. And here is where the hurricane is right now over the southern Gulf of Mexico in the Bay of Campeche. There is, you can see the eye of the storm right there, and you can see a very compact hurricane. This is a Category 5 hurricane with winds of 157 miles per hour right now. So the maximum sustained winds is about 157 miles per hour. So there he is going to make his way into the Gulf of Mexico. There's Mexico right there. This is the Bay of Campeche. There is going to make its way towards the state of Florida, all the way across the Gulf of Mexico. It's about 1,000 miles away from the Florida coastline there, and it's aiming at Tampa, St. Petersburg. Might hit a little bit to the north of Tampa, St. Petersburg, but it's definitely going to make a pass over Orlando, possibly even Jacksonville. So we're going to be looking at some mandatory evacuations here for a major hurricane to affect the state of Florida. Now, I am happy to report that this hurricane will not take the same path that Helene took. It's not going to cross into the rest of the United States. It's not going to cross into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. It's not going to affect areas hit by that was devastated by flash flooding related to Helene across North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky, as well as Virginia. We're not going to see that scenario again because this one is going to primarily affect the Florida Peninsula, Tampa, across to Orlando, maybe into Jacksonville, down through northeastern Florida. It is going to make its way out into the Atlantic as a hurricane still, so it's not going to be over land long enough to weaken to a tropical storm. It will still exit Florida as a possibly Category 2 hurricane possibly. So we will see some weakening as it moves across the Florida Peninsula after making landfall over the near the St. Peters area, the Tampa St. Petersburg area, but it will make its way across the Florida Peninsula, possibly head on into Orlando, and possibly move just south of Jacksonville, before heading out into the Atlantic again, where it could possibly strengthen more as it heads towards the Bahamas and possibly Bermuda as well. We could see the hurricane strengthen as it moves off the Florida landmass out over the Atlantic and then towards the Bermuda and the Bahamas and Bermuda. So we'll keep an eye on the track of Hurricane Milton after it makes landfall across the state of Florida. A Florida state of emergency has already been declared. The Florida governor is already getting the preparations and things in place for the state. I know some folks are saying that the landfills, the Florida has issued an executive order to keep the landfills open so that the volunteer folks who are doing the cleanup can come and take garbage and things like that they clean from the yards from the area. So the Florida governor is trying to be proactive in preparing for this hurricane and making sure that the citizens of the state of Florida have the means to dispose of the trash that's left behind by the hurricane and clean up the damage and things like that, so we can clear out the local roadways in the neighborhoods where trees may fall and other garbage and things like that may get deposited because of the hurricane. So let's move on to our next map as we prepare for this next major weather event. And here is the track of Hurricane Milton as it comes from the Bay of Campeche across the Gulf of Mexico, heading northeast towards the west coast of Florida, Tampa, St. Petersburg. There is going to make that path over Tampa and then north of St. Petersburg. Going to primarily stay south of the Big Bend area of Florida. Won't be affecting the Florida Panhandle, but this is going to be mostly affecting the peninsula. So Tampa, St. Petersburg, Orlando, Jacksonville, and areas right in this region here, from here to here, have to keep an eye on this hurricane. Now you will see tropical storm conditions further south, maybe down to Boca Raton and Miami, Fort Lauderdale, over to Tampa, not Tampa, but Naples, Fort Myers, again, the Keys of the West Florida, southwestern Florida. We could see the potential for tropical storm conditions, and we will see thunderstorms, some severe thunderstorms, tornadoes will be possible. Now, mostly thunderstorms and tornadoes and things like that. Water spouts will also be common, likely over the Gulf of Mexico, right in this region right here. We will see a 25-foot storm surge, so a very significant storm surge like we saw with Helene that had a 20-foot or greater storm surge. So we could see a 20 to at least 25-foot storm surge were Hurricane Milton as well. So most of the times with hurricanes and tropical storms, tornadoes are possible occur, and they usually occur in the outer rain bands that's circulating around the outer areas of the storm, over the outer bands, not necessarily over the inner core area around the eye wall. You don't typically see that. You'll see the heavy rain bands and the high winds, but in those outer bands along the periphery of the storm is where you can see thunderstorms and tornadoes or water spouts as well. So we're going to be watching for those conditions to occur. Here is again our track of the storm, and we have a category 5. We just haven't had this map updated. It showed category 4 that it became quickly, This storm was just a tropical storm with winds around 63 miles per hour yesterday, last night, and it quickly became a Category 1 hurricane, all the way up to a Category 4, and now it's a Category 5, so it's the strongest hurricane that can get, with winds about 157 miles per hour. So we're going to see this continue to strengthen a little bit before leveling off and dropping back to a Category 4. About Tuesday or so, we're going to see this storm possibly, it could maintain Category 5, but we could see it possibly a decrease, weaken down to a Category 4. We saw this happening with Helene, did the same thing. Briefly was a Category 5, came on shore as a Category 4. We saw this with Hurricane back in 2005. Hurricane Katrina was a Category 5 out over the Atlantic. But by the time it made landfall, it fell and decreased to Category 4. We saw it with Hurricane Andrew, Category 5 out over the Atlantic. But from interacting with the landmass, causes it to become a little bit more disorganized, and the storms they weakened a little bit. So Andrew back in 1992 became a hurricane Category 4 when it made landfall. Ian was a Category 5. We had Michael, which made landfall as a Category 5. And we had Hurricane Hugo back in 1989, which made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. Hurricane Irene. So we had numerous hurricanes to affect the Gulf of Mexico and make landfall over various parts of the southeastern United States, from the Florida Peninsula through the Panhandle and all the way over into Texas as well. Hurricane Huey, was it Huey? A few years ago, made landfall around the Houston area. Category 2 hurricane. It produced a lot of rain and flooding. So we're certainly going to be seeing that once again. Here's the rainfall, the impacts of Hurricane Milton that we are going to be seeing across Florida. With this, what we're going to be seeing, the extreme impacts here, catastrophic. Some of these might be catastrophic, especially here around Tampa, St. Petersburg. We'll see those catastrophic impacts from this category, potentially Category 4 or 5 hurricane. Category 3 is likely, possibly, a good possibility to be Category 4, and then there's still an outside possibility that it will be maintained Category 5 upon making landfall. Usually they're interacting with the landmass before coming on shore will cause the hurricane to become a little bit disorganized, and they will weaken slightly. So barring how much it weakens, we're definitely looking at a potential for a Category 3 hurricane making landfall, maybe a Category 4, and then it's this outside shot of maintaining Category 5 status. Here is our storm surge. We're going to see the red here. That is where we're going to see our 20-foot storm surge, 15 to 20 feet here in the orange, here 15 to 20 feet. Then we have a lower storm surges further down the coast, down southwestern Florida, down through Fort Myers area. We're going to see that potential for 3 to 6 foot storm surge, 6 to 10 here in the yellow, 10 to 15 here, and then 15 to 25 here. So possibly a 25 foot storm surge with Hurricane Milton. Alright, so we're going to be seeing that Milton storm surge again. Here's another look of the storm surge. We're going to see that potential for 25 foot storm surge there near the Tampa Bay. Here is your rainfall forecast. Rainfall possibly 8 to 12 inches here. Central Florida mainly, western Florida, southwestern Florida, we're going to see that 12 plus inches of rain, but we're going to see a lot of areas pick up 5 to 8 inches, and then 3 to 6 inches for the south, and maybe that 1 to 2 inches here over the Bahamas, extreme South Florida down through Miami and Dade County, Broward County, Dade County. We'll see that 1 to 3 inch rainfall totals, but a lot of rainfall. But because this will become a fast moving system as it moves across the state of Florida, we won't see the rainfall amounts that we saw with Helene, because once Helene got inland, what it did was that rainfall mostly piled up over the east side of the area of low pressure, even though it had weakened down to a tropical storm, tropical depression, as it moved across the southwest, the southeast, as it moved up through Georgia, it dropped lower to a tropical storm, tropical depression into South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee as well. So, but we saw a lot of that moisture, and because of the Appalachian mountain range, the mountains causes what's called orographic lift. Those mountains cause that help enable the atmosphere, the moisture to lift up higher and to bring in more moisture off of the Atlantic. So we had a lot of tropical moisture feed into that system, along with the mountains, make that lift in the atmosphere with that strong area of low pressure that enabled that significant amounts of rainfall, which led to the devastating flooding. It wasn't because of wind damage or anything like that. It's because of excessive amounts of rainfall along the Appalachian Mountains, the Appalachian Trail, down through North Carolina, through Tennessee as well. So Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, all the way over to portions of western North Carolina as well. We saw those heavy rainfall exceed a foot or more. So we saw excessive amounts of rain. That heavy rain extended up into Virginia as well. So we saw high amounts of rainfall occur as far north as Virginia and southern Ohio. So down near to where Cincinnati, northern Kentucky, West Virginia. So we saw the heavy rainfall amounts from what was left, the remnants of Hurricane Helene, make its way across the mid-Atlantic states as well. So here is the anticipated wind gusts. So we're going to see those wind gusts from 140 to 160 miles per hour in this dark blue area as the storm comes on shore into the Tampa Bay. We're going to see 160 plus mile per hour wind gusts. So we could see those wind gusts make it as high as 185, 190 miles per hour. We're going to see those wind gusts. We're going to see sustained winds around 140 miles per hour. But as we go north to the Gulf Coast areas of the Florida Panhandle, we're going to see those winds around 40 to 50 miles per hour. And again, further south towards the Florida Keys, South Florida, we're going to see those winds around 50 miles per hour. So tropical storm force winds for you folks down across South Florida. It's enough to cause damage, but we're going to see those significant wind impacts there in Central Florida, Tampa, St. Petersburg, and over into Orlando as well. So here is our tornado risk, and we're going to see that potential for tornadoes here across Central Florida and even down into South Florida as well. We have a moderate risk, but we have a greater risk here in the dark red here, where we can see the potential for tornadoes along those outer bands as the storm makes its way onshore on Wednesday night. So Tuesday night through Wednesday night, that 24-hour period is when we have the greatest risk for thunderstorms and tornadoes. And other weather, there's not just a hurricane in Florida. A significant cooling trend will be taking place across the northern half of the country. So if you are up in Minnesota, the Dakotas, High Plains, northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, into the northeast New England, a dry cold front will be coming through, but that will bring as this front advances to the east, is going to be bringing in drier weather and cooler weather. So cooler temperatures in the high temperatures during the day in the 50s and 60s, overnight lows dropping into the 40s in many areas across the northeast, New England, the Great Lakes, the northern plains, the upper Midwest, into Wisconsin, Minnesota is going to be noticeably cooler and less humid. So that's going to be nice for a few days before warmer weather begins again to move in from the west. So and we're going to see that early chill as we see a weak area of low pressure into northern eastern Canada and New Brunswick, but that northwesterly flow will bring those cooler temperatures down out of Canada across the eastern Great Lakes and into the northeast and the mid-Atlantic as we head into the middle part of the week. But as we get toward the middle to second half of the week, a ridge of high pressure will move into the central plains and the northern plains. That will bring a bit warmer weather. We can see temperatures become 10 to 20 degrees warmer than average as this dome of high pressure makes its way across the northern tier of the country and the Canadian border. So if you are in Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, we're going to see that brief warming trend come in toward the middle, the end of the week. And mostly dry weather across the Midwest as well. We're not seeing a lot of storms that's going to bring any moistures. We're not looking at any thunderstorms in the forecast for the first half of the week. We might be seeing a little bit of something, a little bit of precipitation in some areas toward the end of the weekend, but during the week here, we're not going to see much. Very warm weather will continue across the west. High pressure will move onshore in California. That's going to make for a nice offshore flow down in southern central and southern California. So that's going to make daily high temperatures become challenged. So records that's been in place will be challenged, especially as we head into Thursday and Friday. We're going to see those triple-digit temperatures continue across Arizona, southern Nevada, and into California as well. Here is a look at what we're going to be seeing for that pattern on your Thursday. Troughing in the northwest, so an onshore flow, a jet stream in the northwest with a trough across the Rockies, but that high pressure will remain in place across the west, southwest, so California, Nevada, southern Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona as well will be very, very hot. Triple-digit heat will remain in place, but things will be more comfortable across the north. So northern Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and the northern plains, that troughing will bring in a cooler pattern and into the Pacific Northwest as well for your Thursday. Very comfortable and cooler temperatures for you folks as well. Here is a look at the daily records that we're going to be seeing for your Thursday. And look at those high temperatures. 110 degrees, Imperial, California, Phoenix, Arizona, Fresno, California, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Grand Junction, Colorado as well. Temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s. But look at those triple-digit temperatures in the Central Valley, the Maricopa County, the Sonora Desert, 110 in Phoenix, 110 in Imperial, California, in the eastern deserts, 110 degrees. So we're going to see that potential for record highs on your Thursday. And again, on Friday, we can see the potential for record highs in Phoenix, Palmdale, Las Vegas, Albuquerque in the upper 80s, 90 in Grand Junction, Colorado. So we are going to be seeing summer-like heat continue across the Four Corners and into the desert Southwest. So Arizona into Southern California, we're going to continue to see summer-like heat. Triple digits are going to remain in place, and several records could get toppled as we head towards the end of this week. And that is your weather forecast. My name is Mr. G. Thank you for watching. Good luck to the folks in Florida, and we're going to be praying for your survival, your safety, and that you survive this latest round from Mother Nature, and that you have leadership in place that can make timely decisions and good decisions to help folks clean up and recover from this disaster. We don't want to repeat the disastrous leadership that we saw in the Carolinas and other parts of the Southeast from Hurricane Helene. So hopefully the folks in Florida will show you how it's done and how you should handle these types of events. So that'll do it for today's video. Thank you for watching me today, guys, and I will see y'all all tomorrow in the next video as we continue to track the progress of Hurricane Milton and talk about the heat over the southwestern United States. So until then, have a great day and be safe, everybody. Bye-bye.